This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are coming to the Late Show, coming to you live from the jewel of the Irish Sea, the Isle of Man. I'm Ollie Mitchell, and I'm delighted to be spending the next hour with you. Text in or call during the show by downloading the Podbean app, which can be downloaded by clicking the link at ttradio.org. We'd love you to follow us on TT Radio at TT Radio Official on both Twitter and Instagram.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live. Tune in live at ttradio.org, or to join in the conversation, download the Podbean app and search Teachers Talk Radio. Follow the hashtag TT Radio. Tune in, talk it out with Teachers Talk Radio.
Hello, welcome to tonight's show. My name's Ollie Mitchell, and I had asked the production team if I could spend an hour talking about a lovely trip I had to Southend Pier, enjoying the sights and the sounds. Southend Pier being the longest wooden pier in the world, stretching 1.3 miles into the Thames estuary. However, they said no, understandably, this is an educational show. So instead I've invited someone who is absolutely more adept at treading the boards, Steve Craig. Steve is here to talk about what he believes to be the big three principles that shape the role of drama in a secondary curriculum, and maybe even beyond. Now, I'm still waiting for Steve to join the show, so while we're waiting, let me remind you that if you want to get involved, not only can you follow us at TT Radio Official on both Twitter and Instagram, but you can also search and use hashtag TT Radio when you fancy getting the conversation flowing. I'm still waiting for Steve to join, so I may as well tell you about one of the questions we're going to be asking you to call in on or text in on during the show. We've set up the question that reads as follows: the performing arts, a key and necessary component of any vibrant curriculum or a dispensable luxury? We'd like you to text in your responses via the Podbean app, which can be downloaded at ttradio.org, and as the show goes on, we'll read some of those responses out. Now, my very helpful guy in the background, HB History, I think you're called Tom, aren't you? He's suggesting that I play the news while we're waiting for Steve to get on board. It's exactly what I did 2 weeks ago, actually. So I'll play the news, and hopefully in the next 7 minutes, we'll have Steve Craig here live in the studio.
This show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, a leading publisher of books, directories, educational guides and magazines specifically aimed at forward-thinking schools in the UK and beyond. Have you checked out their latest releases? Don't miss out! Visit johncattbookshop.com to explore their full range of titles and advance your own professional development today. Happy reading!
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and this is Teachers Talk Radio News.
At the National Higher Education Conference, Unison Assistant General Secretary John Richards opened proceedings with a damning critique of the government's approach towards university education, according to Unison's own website. Mr. Richards focused on out-of-touch ministers who fail to understand the current funding crisis, and pointed out that the funding models across the UK seem to be broken. He cited the issue of limited government funding as causing a de facto cap on student numbers, and accused the government of trashing the UK's reputation for higher education in Europe, leading to big drops in the numbers of overseas students. A story covered by Teachers Talk Radio News last week. Mr. Richards went on to assert that those in government do not understand the cost of living crisis because they've never had to face it. Strike action by those working in the HE sector has been part of a wave of action taken by unions across a range of public sectors in recent weeks. The last week saw the release of details of government plans to revamp children's social care in England. BBC News reported on the plan for more early support for families and the extra £200 million funding for the next 2 years. Last year, a review warned that tens of thousands more children could end up in care without additional funding and reform. The plan has faced criticism that many of the changes are being rolled out as localised pilots rather than a national programme. The government plans to put families at the heart of the reform and intends to provide better support for all vulnerable children in order to reduce the need for crisis intervention. There will be pilots in 12 local authorities which will deliver more early support for families struggling with addiction, domestic abuse and poor mental health. There will also be more family-type placement for children in care with relatives, friends or foster families. Other changes include plans to recruit more foster carers, a simpler process and more support for relatives or friends who take on children, a rise in the leaving care allowance, and support for councils to recruit and retain more social workers. Economic, Constitutional and Social Policy Forum Politia has published an article focusing on its views of the proposed changes to the school's history curriculum. The publication, History, Whose History? The Battle for the School Curriculum, features 3 historians' views on the proposals. The government's plan for reform came in response to recommendations from the Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities. The plan for a new model history curriculum for pupils to see themselves as integral parts of what makes up the UK today was proposed. The essays included in the publication focusing on the responses of a variety of academics who all appear to conclude that there is no need for the proposed changes, because diversity is already built in the current programme. Further details of the publication and forum for debate can be found on the Politia website. Finally, a school principal in a rural part of Northern Ireland has expressed concerns over safety after it emerged that recruitment of lollipop men and women is being frozen. It comes as part of a drive to save money. The current power-sharing deadlock in Stormont meant no budget could be agreed and significant cuts needed to be made. The principal of a rural primary school, Donna Winters, told the BBC that until recently there had been consistent crossing patrol staff that have been vital in making sure pupils can cross roads safely, but that they have not had staff since December. The school has had to resort to employing a patrol staff member directly and, when they are absent, teaching and support staff have to fill in. Ms Winters went on to point out that safety was not an area where cuts should be made. This has been your Teachers Talk Radio News with Joe Fox.
This is 2 Minute Tech with Steve Woods, your tech briefing on Teachers Talk Radio.
Hello, it's Safer Internet Week, with the official day being on the 7th of February. This year, the UK Safer Internet Centre focuses on Want to Talk About It, making space for conversation online. They've got loads of educational resources on the website saferinternet.org.uk, banded into 3 to 7, 7 to 11, 11 to 14 and 14 to 18 years of age. They are even translated into Welsh and have adapted resources for SEND and ALD. So, they have pretty much covered all bases. You need to take a look. But why do we need to get our young people talking about this? Well, let me try and give you an idea in one breath. With an estimated 5.16 billion people using the internet, that's 64.4% of the world's population. It's estimated that around 500,000 predators pose a threat to young people daily, with the main target being 12 to 15-year-old children. With a quick search of statistics from the internet, I found supposedly 1 in 25 children will be manipulated in some way this year, and 80% of predatory behaviour will be through social media. This coupled with only 15% of parents actually knowing what their children are doing online makes this an issue which definitely needs to be talked about with our young people. To get some perspective on this, every 60 seconds TikTok users watch over 167 million videos. Data never sleeps. We need to know how to stay safe because the sheer volume of data means it cannot effectively be policed. Please send your thoughts amongst the 575,000 other posts every 60 seconds on Twitter at TT Radio Official. I'm Steve Woods, and that was 2 Minute Tech.
2 Minute Tech with Steve Woods, your tech briefing on Teachers Talk Radio.
So, welcome back to Teachers Talk Radio, and I'm here with Steve Craig. Steve, are you there?
Ollie, yeah, can you hear me okay?
I can absolutely hear you, and I'm sure our listeners will let us know if there's anything wrong with the levels. It's lovely to have you here.
Great to be with you. Thanks very much for inviting me on, Ollie. It's really kind of you. It's lovely that you're taking an interest. Thanks very much.
Ah, yeah, that's cool, man. Tom says you're a little bit quiet. Is there any way you can get a bit closer to your phone microphone, do you think?
Yeah, let's give it a go. See if I can take this out. Is that any better?
Oh, absolutely it is. It's coming in loads clearer in my cans now. Brilliant. Okay, so thanks very much for joining us, Steve. You know, we've been colleagues for a long time, haven't we? Maybe 15 years or so.
Yeah.
You're the head of you're the head of drama at the school that we both work in.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm hoping that tonight this conversation will simply be a kind of continuation of the lovely conversations we often have in the staff room together. But of course, I know you, but our listeners won't. So I wondered if you could just give us a couple of minutes to start us off by telling us a little bit about you and about what led you to becoming a teacher, and maybe some of the things that you did before you were a teacher.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, thank you again for having me on, Ollie. It's really nice to be here. So, I don't know. People say sometimes that my journey into teaching was quite unusual, but I'm not quite sure that it is. To be fair, funnily enough, I went to school at the school that I teach at now, and I left in '88, so an awfully long time ago now. And when I was 16 when I left, and when I left with kind of no GCSEs really to talk of. I had a C in art and kind of a handful of lower grade GCSEs. I think it was the first or second year through that the GCSEs had happened, but I left, and it was a really strange time for me because and I often talk to the year 11s about this as a year 11 tutor. It's a funny time that at the end of your GCSEs where kind of school comes to an end, and some people have found their way back into sixth form, some people have gone to college, some people have got jobs, but some people just kind of are left hanging a little bit, and that's kind of how I felt really. It was a strange time, and I felt a lot of pressure from my parents, and quite a lot of disappointment there. It was, and I found myself kind of getting pushed into different jobs at that time by people who kind of cared about me, I guess. But it was only after leaving school that I kind of discovered drama. I started working for a factory as an apprentice printer, and I hated it. I was stood next to a machine all day, kind of pulling levers and things like that, and it really wasn't me. But in the evenings, I had joined an amateur dramatics company, and it was amazing. And I kind of finally found a space that I felt really comfortable and free in. And one thing kind of led to another, and I started to get noticed, and somebody saw me, told me I should try and get to drama school, and I did. And I auditioned for a place called the Guildford School of Acting down in Surrey. I went there. I did fairly well when I was there. I got a couple of awards, the Acting Cup, at the end of the 3 years. And then I moved to London, and I worked as an actor for a little while, kind of a job an actor, kind of like in everything really. I had a great time. But whilst I was working as an actor and having it was brilliant. And like drama is at my core. Like I'm so passionate about drama. There was something that was still kind of a little bit not quite right, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it until I realised that as an actor, you're kind of you spend most of the time thinking about yourself, and you kind of have to, it's quite an egocentric kind of existence that you live, because you always kind of have to promote yourself, or you're always thinking about your next job, or you're always thinking about how you're going to kind of progress yourself in that way, and it didn't really sit very comfortably with me. And I remember I was about 28, and I used to work on like building sites when I was in between kind of acting jobs. And I remember I was on a building site one day, and I was kind of thinking about this, and I kind of thought to myself, well, I really love drama, and I really, really love acting, but I kind of thought about the job that I wanted to perhaps do, and I thought I wanted a job in which I was of value to the community that I lived in. I served a purpose And it was more than just about me. Whatever I did, if I had to go out every day and earn a living, it had to be more about the me and earning a living. And and I thought about combining the interest I had in drama, my deep interest in drama, with teaching. But at that time, I didn't have GCSEs or A levels, let alone a degree. So from that point on, it was about 12 years before I eventually kind of got to teacher training school, and I found
Right.
myself kind of doing my degree in the evenings and getting my GCSE and my A levels, and then getting to teacher training school, and then getting back to the school where I failed. And it's a funny kind of like circle. It's a circular
Yeah.
thing, isn't it? And it's the best job ever. And I feel so fortunate and so lucky. There's not one day that I don't kind of thank my lucky stars that, that I'm a teacher and I get to work with, people like you and other really articulate and clever teachers. And I'm surrounded by these amazing students. And I just feel so fortunate and grateful to be a teacher. It's just like, it's just the best job ever.
Can I ask you a question about
Yeah.
you talk about how it took you 12 years to kind of once you decided you wanted to kind of get on that path,
Yeah.
and you more than probably anyone else in our staff room very happy to put the long hours in, often to be found 7-8 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
marking coursework, etc.
Yeah.
Where did that work ethic come from? Was it studying in the evenings while you were
Oh, mate,
working?
yeah. So, yeah, it's working hard's one of those things that you have to do, in it. It's like working hard. It's just working hard. It's just what it is. But yeah. So when I decided that I was going to go for this, I found that I was doing well. I didn't find it was what I was doing. I would either be working as an actor and then doing the degree, the part-time distance learning degree without the GCSEs, like on my own, kind of in the evening or in the afternoons when I was acting. But when I was a hottie on the sites, I'd spend the day kind of running bricks up and down ladders for the brickies, and it was an amazing job. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved being a hottie. It was ace. I'd be running the hod all day long, and then I'd go home and hit the books. And I think
Wow.
the conversion course was about 2.5, 3 years, I think. And what I had to do was, I'd been to Guildford obviously for like 3 years, and I'd done the acting diploma course, which I think they still offer that actually. But I did the acting diploma course because I didn't have any GCSEs. But whilst I was on the diploma course, I did the same sort of lessons as the degree students. I just didn't get assessed on it, and we used to do
Yeah.
like theatre history, and I loved it. I was fascinated by theatre history and the origins of theatre, and the different practitioners and genres that emerged over time, and I loved it. And I remember when I left drama school, I always thought, I had this little thing in the back of my head. I always thought I'd love to study that further. I'd love to get a degree, but when you haven't got GCSEs and like you leave school with nothing, and I remember after when we got our GCSE results, I there was a time where you were able to go and have an interview for sixth form. I'll never forget this. And my dad went up, and I went up with my dad, and we saw we saw the deputy head, who was a lady. Can't remember her name. And obviously, like, I didn't have any GCSEs. I had a C in art, but I really loved school. Ironically, I really loved it. It's like a really sociable place, and I had loads of friends there, and I had an ace time. Like, and I wasn't naughty. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't a bad lad. I just enjoyed being around other people and having a nice time. And I really, well, I was lost. I didn't really know what I want to do, to be fair. But I went to my sixth form interview, and I walked in, and my dad said he's here because he'd like to talk to you about sixth form. And the lady, I'll never forget, the lady behind the desk just laughed, She laughed like proper loud, like she'd seen something really funny, like at the theatre, like she was proper roaring with laughter, and it was like, really? Am I like, am I that low on your kind of pecking order? And yeah, so that I'll never forget that. Like
Well, it's interesting because you said you came back to, I think the phrase you used, pardon me if I misheard
go
you,
on.
you came back to the school that you've failed at or that you didn't do too well.
Yeah, yeah.
Were you on this kind of mission to
No, I
get
don't
back
think.
and
No, I don't think I was on a. No, I definitely wasn't on a mission to. It's just funny how things kind of come
yeah,
around, right?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
am proper. And I don't know whether you know this, but I hope you do. But I'm proper for the kids. Like, I really want. Like, I'm so. I really like. I tell you what. I think that every child that you meet is proper, like capable of anything. I think like they can proper smash it in life. And I really believe that anything is possible. And I've taught some kids that have proper proved that. But I think that every child that you get, like, is there's nothing that they can't do if you tell them, and if you steer them in the right direction, and if you encourage them and give them confidence. I proper believe that.
And do you
Um,
think that drama is the perfect vehicle to do that with?
I think it is for me. I
Mm.
mean, you're an English teacher, Ollie. I'm sure that you do the same in your subject. But for me, I, I think that drama is the most amazing subject in the world for loads and loads of different reasons. And it's not like drama is not like it can be singing and dancing, but there is so much more to it. It's so deep and it's so kind of like complex in the way that it works. It's so sophisticated drama, and there's there's lots of different ways that you can use it within school, kind of cross-curricular, but you can also kind of appeal to kids in loads of different ways that loads of other subjects can't perhaps appeal to children, and
Okay.
spark their imagination.
Well,
And
let's get into that, Steve.
yeah, I think that I'm just like I'm a drama nut, right?
Yeah.
If you like drama is at my very core. Like it's in my tummy. It's so close to me that sometimes um, I forget that it's so close. Like when I look at the world around me, I see it through the. sounds bloody ridiculous, but when I look at the world around me, I see it through like a drama lens. So if I'm ever like reading a newspaper or having a conversation or maybe reading a book or watching the telly, or just like observing stuff, I'm always kind of thinking to myself, how can I use that in drama? Like, or like, there's a play in that, or that's a really interesting story. I wondered, like, if we stuck that on the stage and kind of like interpreted it through like physical theatre and whacked a bit of verbatim in there, like that'd be proper cool, And but I think like this all of the time. And drama is just like, the title for this little podcast tonight was drama, behaviour, teaching, and life. Because I think if you were to dissect like the way my life and the way that you live, it is drama. That's it. Like I'm just like I'm obsessed with drama. It's a proper passion, like in the truest sense of the word passion, because I've suffered a little bit because of it, like not in a kind of like woe is me way, but you know, it's led me to this point. I've been doing it for 35 years, so it's kind of like it is a passion. So it's drama. It would be behaviour because I'm fascinated by behaviour. It's a massive interest of mine, and drama and behaviour are so interlinked. And then you got teaching, and teaching again is like an obsession of mine. I'm thinking about it 24/7, like, and I absolutely love it. Going back to what we said before, I feel so lucky. We are so lucky to be teachers, like, and to do the job we do. It's not, and I know that it gets stressful. I understand that, and I understand that like deadlines loom, and we get this pressure like on us to do this and to do that. But fundamentally, the job that we do, it is the best job in the world, and we work with the most amazing people, both in the classroom when we're teaching and also in the staff room. Like, I think like you, Ollie, are like I watch you, and like you are just like the model of like a fantastic teacher. You're so kind. The kids love you. Like people that are listening to the show, they don't know that, but like the way you behave around the school is just incredible. Such an inspiration, and that your relationships with those kids, that's deep, and again, really, really sophisticated. Like you know your kids super well, and they love you. And I feel really privileged to be able to work with you, Jackie, and the rest of the staff. Like the department that I work in, like the three ladies that I work with, they are supersonic. Like I just like they're incredible. Like they are mighty, and they are strong, and they are clever, and they are talented and skillful. And I look at the way in which they work, and I learn from them every day.
No,
Like
it's lovely.
just incredible. Like
Yeah.
Carla has got like the biggest heart. She's like the wellbeing officer in school, and she's such an incredible, inspirational woman. And then, you got Alex, who's the ECT. She's sharp as a razor, like super intelligent, and Lauren, like super talented as a performer. And like the three of them are just such a pleasure to work with, and I just feel really lucky. I feel so fortunate to be a teacher. I learn
But
every day.
thinking about that, here's a question we didn't kind of prepare on the prep sheet. You think you have to be a good performer to be a good drama teacher?
No, I don't. But I think that I think it helps, and I think that I use it every day. And I'm not saying that I'm a good performer, right? But I certainly am aware of what I'm doing. And I think about the way in which I use my voice. I think about the way in which I'm using my body. I'm making sure that my voice and my body don't get in the way of the learning. I think about my interactions, and I think about my performance as a teacher, if you like, but like not so that it restricts my practice. I'm not a stereotype. But I am very, very careful and highly aware, acutely aware of my behaviour, of my voice, of my body, and how I interact and move around. I'll tell you something that I do. I'm hyper aware of my body language in class as well, where I stand, how I stand, where I am in relation to the kids, all of that sort of stuff. Like, it's massive, and you know this, but other people perhaps don't. But I've done a little bit of work in school with teachers on behaviour, and a lot of the things that we talk about are things like, how you use your voice, and how you script your dialogue, and how you stand, and how you kind of get out of like causing behavioural issues because of how you behave in the classroom. Do you know what I mean? It's like, don't pour petrol on the fire by getting involved with, arguments, or don't speak to children in that way, because you're going to get it back. Like, and it's having that discipline. I guess that, because as an actor, you have to be very disciplined. So I think it's having the awareness in the classroom of what you're doing, how it's coming across, and how you can use it to kind of better engage and steer the kids, I think. I think so.
Super. Well, let's get into it properly then. And just to remind our listeners, at the start of the show, we posed the question: the performing arts a key and necessary component of any vibrant curriculum, or a dispensable luxury? And I'm really happy to say that Daniel was straight on with this, looking at the comments in the studio here. Daniel said that performing arts, for him, are important in enriching the student experience and broadening horizons. They provide a useful way of considering and deepening understanding of core subjects, especially the drama literature link. He went on to say that you impoverish the curricular diet of children by not providing an offer with sufficient breadth of experience if you leave drama out of the curriculum. And he finishes by saying that he couldn't imagine a school that considered itself legitimately comprehensive that didn't offer drama, dance and music. I think probably those comments sum up exactly where we're heading. So Steve, let me thank Daniel and pose this to you. You are heading up a whole island inset. You've been employed by our Department of Education, Sport and Culture, and your inset's going to be about the importance of drama. Your audience is bleary-eyed, they're stony-faced, they fear that they're just looking at another performative maverick, but you know different. You're undaunted because you've got 3 golden nuggets up your sleeve, 3 beliefs. And in conveying those 3 beliefs about drama, you're as vociferous as the orators that you see at Speaker's Corner on a Sunday morning. Here's your inset. Where do you start? What's the first of the 3 things that you think underlines the importance of drama?
Yeah, okay, well, do you know what, Ollie? I'm going to go a bit off-piste on this one. Because I know that, like, you sent me through the prep sheet and I thought about this question. But the way that you've kind of introduced it there, I'm going to change my lesson plan a little bit on this one. I'm going to give you point 3 first. Because if they sat there bleary-eyed, then I need to make them aware of how talented and how much potential the children you have in your classroom possess. Like, I can't tell you, like, I am constantly amazed by, or not amazed, well, yeah, amazed. I'm constantly amazed by the talent of the students that we teach. As I said to you before, like, I think that every child that comes into the classroom has massive potential, even if they don't recognise it themselves. And I think the most important thing that the most important thing I would say to the bleary-eyed audience that are out there is you have, when you teach drama, in front of you, you have the next kind of superstars, West End performers, film stars in front of you. And you do not want to waste a second of the time you've got with them in that class. Now you can laugh at that, and you can, not you, Ollie, but like we can laugh at that. We can go, oh yeah, that's quite cliched, that, Steve. Like, that's quite cliched. But I could give you 3 or 4 occasions where kids have gone from my classroom straight into Netflix, from my classroom straight onto the telly, from my classroom, literally, like, into the West End. Like, it's happened. I can give you names where, like, one week or 1 month, they're in your classroom and they're doing GCSE, right? And, like, you're giving them kind of, like, direction on what to do and how to stand and all that. And then a couple of months later, they've won a place on Heartstopper. You know, Joe Locke, a couple of years ago, straight from GCSE. Like, came through Key Stage 3 into GCSE, and then bam, he's on the telly. I could talk to you about Samantha Barks, who I taught GCSE. Right, Key Stage 3, GCSE. She goes from GCSE straight onto that talent show on the telly, and the next thing, she's doing Les Mis, the film. I could talk to you about John Young, who I taught drama, GCSE drama, A-level drama. He's just been associate director down at the National on Kerry Jackson, one of the big plays down there. Like, the kids that you've got in front of you, you should not underestimate the talent and the ability that these people have. Like, and that is super, super exciting, and what a responsibility. And all you've got to do, really, you've got to teach them the skills, right? But this is the secret, Ollie, this is the secret. You've got to tell them they're good. You've got to tell them how good they are, and don't let a moment of that go. Like, don't let one lesson pass when you don't say, you're amazing. Like, that was proper good. Thank you so much for sharing that and for showing that. You're proper talented. Tell them. Make them believe it. Make them realise it and see it. If they see it, they can do it. And so the bleary-eyed people out there sat in my CPD that I've kind of got to talk to, and would go, get ready. It's going to be amazing. Don't underestimate the children that you've got coming through your classrooms, and harness it and jump onto it and make the very most of it. Push them. Give them, like at GCSE, give them really, really challenging texts. But texts that are going to make them kind of like fly. And don't be afraid of it. And don't kind of like give them the after schools that they need. so that they excel in those roles. Make them, and I'm not talking about like GCSE results and A-level results. They're all very important. Do it for the children. Do it for the young performers. Make them realise how good they are, because a lot of them won't realise. A lot of them kind of don't think they've all that. Tell them, show them, give them the platform, and encourage them, and don't waste a second. And I would say get proper excited. That's what I would say to the people in the CPD. Get proper excited about the children that you're going to meet in your charge at this high school, at Key Stage 3 and at Key Stage 4 and at Key Stage 5, because you've got world beaters in there. And if you don't tell them, they might not know. So that's what I would say. There we go. That's kind of like how I would open it. That would be my opening gambit. It would be like, right, you lot, get ready, because it's going to be like amazing. You know, you've got a massive responsibility, and make sure you live up to it, and you tell the kids how good they are, and you don't waste a second, and you provide them with good material, and push them.
And you'd be arguing that drama is the perfect kind of subject to be inspiring those future aspirations. Well, or would you say to the PE teacher, treat every child like they could be the next England sports, like rugby player, football player, whatever?
I probably would, but if I'm in a CPD and like the CPD is all about drama, do you know what I mean? I'd be saying, right, this is it, people. You know, I do think that, like, again, goes back to what I said before. I feel super lucky, Ollie, that I'm a teacher, and I get to work with these young people. It's a privilege and it's an honour, and I don't want to waste a second of it. And if that means, like, I'm just going to, like, they're amazing. They're amazing. All the kids that I teach are far more intelligent than I ever was at school. You know, all of them. And I'm going to tell them, and I'm going to make sure that I tell them. And if that's like, you know, when I'm on cover for geography or history or like whatever, like I'm going to tell them that they're amazing. And particularly so in drama, because let's face it, like in drama and the performing arts, it's like, you know, confidence is key. Right? You know, they have to get up in front of their peers and perform like difficult things. They have to work in difficult ways, and telling them that they can do it, and they're amazing, and you know, they've got talent is really, really important. I really do believe in the power of positive language, particularly in our subject, and being kind to them, and don't be mean to children. You know, and give them the support that they need. You know, lead them with love. You know, and well, it is though, isn't it, Ollie?
That's gorgeous. Yeah.
Lead with love, and be kind and be careful. Don't go stamping on their dreams, and like this is the thing, right? So this is the other thing. Who are we to say whether someone's gonna like? Who are we to say whether someone's gonna succeed in the performing arts or not? How dare we kind of make those kind of decisions, or how dare we make those kind of comments? I know loads of actors, like I could like loads of my mates like didn't do very well at school, and like were naughty at school or skived school, or like loads of them. You know, and who knew that they would be like on the telly or in films, and all they needed was to be told and to be steered and to be harnessed, you know. And I just feel like, you know, the kids that we've got in front of us, tell them that they're doing well, tell them that they're powerful, and tell them that they have talent and ability, and encourage them, you know.
Super.
Encourage them, you know.
So that's your opening pitch.
That's my opening bit, right?
Okay. So the teachers are sitting there. They're like, okay, that's all very well and good.
Yeah, nice
but
one.
What can your subject do for the general being of the child. And I know you want to talk about the link between drama and behaviour. So let's explore that for a little bit, shall we?
Drama and behaviour, yeah, okay. Well, I
Lovely.
want to get on to, because I really liked what Daniel said about like drama kind of opening up the connections between cross curricular and stuff like that. And I'm dead keen to talk about that as well, because
Well, you go for that then.
all right, I'll go for that first, and then I'll talk about behaviour
Sure.
after
Yeah.
that, if you don't mind. Okay,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
right, cool. So drama can be taught in, like, it's like any subject, right, Ollie? So drama can be taught in a million different ways, but essentially there's two pathways to teach drama. You can either go skills based, which is you teach kids how to act or how to dance or how to sing, and it's very technical, right? And you spend your lessons kind of teaching them how to do that, but also like kind of technical drama skills that they can use in plays, so that when they've got to devise a piece of drama, they know how to construct it and perform it, right? So you can go skills based, or you can go the process route. And so there's two approaches: skills based or process drama. Now, before I went to teacher training school in Chester, and I worked with a guy called Alan Owens, who was an amazing kind of drama specialist, I was very much skills based. So I was all about teaching young people how to act, and I would use my drama training and my drama experience, my acting experience, to inform that, right? And I used to think, oh, what's this? I used to hear about process drama, because before I went to teacher training school, I worked for about 5 years in a high school teaching drama, Key Stage 3, Key Stage 4, Key Stage 5, but as like an unqualified teacher. And it was kind of during that time that I got my GCSEs and A-levels and stuff like that. So I used to teach like skills-based, right? And I was mad on it, dead keen on it. And then I went to teacher training school, and I met Alan, and I learned about process drama. Process drama is like an incredible way to use drama in the classroom as a creative learning tool. And essentially what it means is you use the process involved in exploring a context through drama to teach the children anything you want, essentially. So let's see if I can give you an example. So most of our Key Stage 3 lessons, most of them will be schemes of work that are process drama. So a scheme of work for 6 weeks might tell a story about, like we wrote one about, it sounds dead cliche, but it's not. We wrote a scheme of work like years ago about the tsunami or the earthquake in Japan, like in 2011, right? And we looked at it from a process drama point of view. And we constructed this narrative that was based upon something I'd read in a newspaper about, and it was based upon a real incident about like a group of school kids after the earthquake struck in Japan 2011. They got stranded in their school miles away from their home city, and no one came to get them because the roads had been damaged and the sky was full of dust. And the kids decided, this is what this story was all like in the newspaper, the kids decided that they were going to try and find their way home. So I read that and I thought, oh wow, like what an amazing like context or narrative to use in like for a piece of drama, right? That's the way I'm looking at it through the drama lens, right? I'm going, right, okay, that's amazing. And then I thought, like, okay, but within this, there's also like a massive potential to teach the children I teach at Key Stage 3 about Japan, about the earthquake, about being resilient. Because it's set in Japan, I can dig into folklore and legend, and I can appeal to their imagination. I can get them to work with scripts. I can get them to use physical theatre. And essentially, I built this narrative about these kids that got stranded and had to find their way back. And every lesson was like a different chapter in this story that I'd created. But it's not necessarily about perfection of skills. It's about involving the kids in a narrative, teaching them about Japan and Japanese life and Japanese culture and Japanese legend, and also getting them to work collaboratively together, and working creatively together through the process of the drama narrative. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. It's similar to if you talk to PE teachers of the same mindset. Our colleague John, for example, at school, they're not interested in children improving as skills wise as sports people. They're interested in engaging the child in the idea of sport. I suppose it sounds quite similar to that.
Yeah, kind of. I guess kind of, yeah. But process drama is what you learn, through the process, and what you can provide the children with through the process that's going to spark their imaginations and make them make connections between, well, anything you want. Yeah, and it's a really, really powerful creative learning tool, I think, in which you can get the students to work together really collaboratively. And kind of create amazing performances together, and have a great time, which is really important. And
But your focus is not them being good in quotation marks at acting at that point, is it?
Well, we always have, like, the end of 6 weeks, there'll always be like a performance assessment, and we do assess like their performances, but we also assess, like, within the grade that they get, we also assess the behaviour. The relationships, so we assess the behaviour for learning, their teamwork, their knowledge, their performance, and the way in which they can apply the skills that we've taught them along the way. So there's 5 things that we assess there, which kind of like gives you the final grade at the end of the 6 weeks. But the emphasis really on the scheme of work is the process that they go through, and those kind of things that we look at, the relationships and the behaviour and the teamwork and things like that.
So, can I ask you, have you got a topic that is your favourite one to teach with regards to that process?
I love them all. Like, I do. I really love them, and we all have a bit of a go at writing them. But we do, the Japanese one's nice, but we also do, like, we do one called Half Dead Fred, which was written about probably about 10 years ago now, and it was in response to, again, looking at life through the lens of drama. I remember I was teaching GCSE, and there was a lad in the GCSE class who would come in and very often be really knackered and tired. Sometimes he wouldn't turn up for school, and one day I kind of asked his friend, I said, "So why is he always off?" And he said, "Oh, he's always on his game machine. He's always, like, playing his Xbox, and he plays it all night, and he gets really tired." This was like 10 years ago. Little did I know how big a problem it would become, like, today. So I wrote a scheme of work about this lad who, like, gets gifted a game machine for Christmas, and he gets kind of addicted to it. Like, it's a funny one. He gets addicted to it, and it turns him into a zombie. But they explore the story of that throughout the 6 weeks, and it's we look at different types of comedy, and it's kind of script based, that one. But that's really nice, and the kids they like that one. But we also do, like, The Girl from the Rubble, all about, like, a little girl that gets stranded in the Syrian conflict.
Oh, wow.
Which is dead nice, and she goes on a little journey to find her parents and her brother. And again, with it being process, you see, this is the thing, Ollie, it's not about conflict. You can talk to the kids in the class about why the conflict began. It's very, like, off the moment. You can talk to them about Syria. You can tell them how beautiful Syria is. You can talk to them about, like, the reason why people are trying to get away from Syria. Like, you can explore it in a really big context by looking at, you know, quite a small personal story. So I love it. I love process kind of drama. I guess if you were to kind of describe the way in which we deliver it, I guess it would be kind of like mostly process. Well, it's kind of like process and skills kind of combined together, really.
Yeah.
You know, and the other great thing about using process drama, like, is you're also talking to them about how to construct narrative. And if every week is a different scene from this story that you've created, you know, when they get to GCSE, they've kind of been through, like, they've kind of been thinking about how to construct a play unconsciously throughout the Key Stage 3 period. So, and also you're appealing to their imagination, which is super, super important. But yeah, I love them all, Ollie. I think it's an ace way it's a lovely way to teach. It really is.
Listening to you talk about it, I mean, obviously your absolute love for it comes through, but I'm thinking you used the term cross curricular when you started talking about the process drama, and
totally.
It's cross curricular without explicitly calling it that, isn't it? Because you're dealing with geography, you're dealing with human
totally.
geography, lots of different ideas rolled into your drama lessons, right?
When I sit down and I, you know, I'm planning these schemes of work, I'm absolutely thinking cross curricular. So I am actually, so like when we're talking about like the Japanese scheme of work, I am talking about like what they cover in geography. You know, when I'm talking about like the Syrian conflict, I am making connections to history. Like, you know, and I make them explicitly, you know, and I'll tell them to go and do research on it and ask their teachers about this and about that.
Do you deliberately tap into what's happening elsewhere in their curriculum so you can kind of connect the dots more explicitly?
Yeah, we have done. We've done that a lot. And also, particularly with things like ELGBGT stuff that's going on. Like, we did a scheme of work all about, based upon the Heartstopper novel last year. Because that was quite a big thing at our school, and it still is, you know, quite rightly so as well. But we wanted to do something to support all of that work that was being done. So we created this scheme of work that kind of was all about kind of those kind of issues, and explored it in quite an exciting and current way that kind of connected to the show on telly. The fact that one of our students was in it, but also served our community within school as well. So I'm always looking for those kind of opportunities, as are, importantly, like the other people that I work with. They're so on it, Ollie. Like, I can't tell you, these women that I work with, they are powerful, and they will come in, like Carla, like she like wrote this amazing scheme of work about the Ariana Grande concert, like, bombing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And like, but it's like proper on point, and we're teaching it at the moment, and it's like we're looking at it through the use of physical theatre. So we're teaching physical theatre, but we're also kind of talking about this event that happened, this bombing that happened a few years ago, and we're talking about why it happened, and like the people that were affected by it, and we're looking at footage of it, and we're thinking about the words of songs that were sang at the concert, and we're turning it into bits of physical theatre. So the staff in the department are proper ace, and it's a joy and a privilege to work with them. It really is.
That's amazing, man.
You know,
Steve, I'm mindful of the time. It might interest you to know that we've only got 6 minutes left.
Okay.
So let's have our final nugget, the third, and perhaps the one that I'm most intrigued by, because it's where we kind of, it's where we align, isn't it, in terms of positive behaviour management. It's probably as close as you and I get in terms of our teaching philosophy. So let's hear your thoughts about the role drama can play in that.
Yeah, I will. So I think I said at the start that for me, like, and I've got to say this as well, Ollie. I ain't no expert on this, right? So my approach is my approach, right? And it's informed by, the way that I was trained, the way that I worked, all the experience that I've had. But I'm no expert on it. But behaviour, like at that CPD, if they weren't all bleary-eyed and like falling asleep, like I would definitely start with behaviour, because without really good behaviour management, you can't teach drama. Like you can't. It's pointless. I've seen so many bad drama lessons, so many like poor performing arts lessons, because the behaviour management is not there. It is so demanding because of what you need, to get the students to do. You know. So this is quite important as well. So, and I won't bore you with it. A bit of a history lesson. There was a guy like during the 1800s. Melodrama, like, was probably, people will tell me off with this, but melodrama was probably the most popular form of theatrical entertainment on offer. Like, so melodrama, those big sensational kind of stories and plays, and with the big over-the-top kind of characteristics and storylines and sets and big musical arrangements, right? It was everywhere. It was really prevalent everywhere. And there was a guy who in Russia called Stanislavski, and all the drama teachers out there will be like twitting at me now, but there was a guy in Russia called Konstantin Stanislavski, who kind of he got tired of it because it was everywhere, and he wanted to kind of help shape and create a theatre, like a form of theatre, a genre of acting that was more appealing to him. He wanted to see kind of naturalistic performances up on stage, right? Stories that were told that he could relate to, like that kind of shone a light on the problems that he saw in his community and society. So, long story short, he set about creating a system to train these melodramatic actors to act naturalistically. And it was a very kind of like detailed and in part scientific approach that he created. But at its very core, Ollie, at its very base, was this idea of stage ethics.
Okay.
Right, and he said to be a really good, effective actor, you had to understand and apply this notion, this idea called stage ethics, which was you have to be kind to everybody that you work with. You have to leave all of your problems and your troubles and your hang-ups outside of the rehearsal room. You have to be kind to the people in the theatre that you're working with, the lady that works in the foyer, the people that work backstage. You have to be supportive of your fellow actors. You have to understand that you're part of a company, and that your approach will, I guess, feed into the creativity in the room. Essentially, you have to be really kind, and what you give off, you get back. So Stanislavski, 170 years ago, was kind of saying that behaviour is fundamental to the creative process in a drama rehearsal room. And when I teach, or when I'm thinking about drama, the first thing I think about before any story that I'm going to use for a piece of process drama, the first thing I think about is how I'm going to get the kids to behave in a way that is appropriate for the lesson, that is going to ensure that every child in the room is able to access the work without fear of intimidation from anybody else in the room, that they will feel confident to get up and speak the script that they've been given, or to do whatever's asked of them without worry that they're going to get criticised or upset by anybody else. So my job, fundamentally, behaviour management is at the very core of it. At the very core of it, the discipline, the focus, the respect, the kindness that they show each other. And it's work in progress, isn't it, Ollie? Like,
Yeah.
we have all of the scaffolding that we put around lessons, everything that we think about, the way in which we use the lesson to engage the learners. but at the very core of it is behaviour for me. And if I think about the people that have left the drama room or the drama department that I work in, and have gone into telly or into film or into theatre, and there's been loads of them. If I think about it, when I really think about it, the thing that gets them on in the industry is their behaviour. It's about the respect that they show people. It's the way that they interact with other people. It's the fact that they're kind and they're respectful of people. They're the people that get on. So you try and instill that in your lessons right from the word go, because a drama lesson is multifaceted, and there's lots of moving parts and spinning plates, and if you're not on it, if you have not got total charge of that class, like they can be crawling the walls and pulling down the sets and swinging on the curtains, you know. So they're like, behaviour is like fundamental.
Do you know what, Steve? I love the way that you just, you went back to the kind of what I guess many people would think is the foundation of modern drama with the Stanislavski, and it kind of sums up how you started this evening by saying that drama just pumps through your veins and you live and breathe it.
Man.
Yeah,
but I love it. Yeah, I love it, but I love people. I love people more probably, and kids.
Yeah. I think. Do you know what? I think that's come across some comments in the show comments tonight. Jasmine saying, "I love how much you love drama. I'm sure the kids thrive on that enthusiasm." A couple of likes for the show as well, which is really lovely. Thank you. And we got to wrap it up there, Steve. We're a minute and 40 over time. I don't know if we'll get a slap on the wrist or not, but it's been an absolute pleasure. An absolute pleasure talking with you. And I think we can probably conjure something up to do this again sometime in the future, eh?
Thanks, Ollie. It's been really kind of you to invite me on. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you so much. And listeners, hopefully I'll be back again in 2 weeks. And until that time, enjoy your classrooms.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.